Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this side event where we will share some insights on how an empowered civil society can form the basis for successful climate action with a focus on Cape Verde. My name is Bas Breimer. I'm expert for environment and climate change at Lux Development, the development cooperation agency from Luxembourg, and I will be the moderator of this session this morning. Today, we spotlight an initiative between Cape Verde and Luxembourg, which has opened a new chapter in their long-standing collaboration. The program on strengthening climate governance and climate action in Cape Verde is unique, not only for its dedication solely to climate-related issues, but also for its new funding approach through the Luxembourg International Climate Finance funding window, adhering to the additionality principle, meaning that it's fully additional to the regular official development aid funding. This program is a key structure in creating the climate governance and climate action framework within Cape Verde. I apologize for the background noise. Last August, Cape Verde introduced its climate communication plan, recognizing that only 20% of its population was informed about climate issues. By 2025, the ambition is to double this percentage, ensuring that half of the population is informed about climate challenges. So the objective is to double the current percentage. In its arsenal for climate resilience, Cape Verde works on the National Adaptation Plan, a crucial element of its national policy. This comes in tandem with the updated National Determined Contribution, or NDC, from April 2021, which carves a path for integrating a climate pillar into the new strategic plan for sustainable development, guiding force behind the nation's economic and social agenda. Furthermore, Cabo Verde has embarked on creating a long-term low-emission development strategy and is preparing to embark on a similar journey for climate adaptation. So in this session, we are set to explore this pioneering climate communication program. We aim to look at what makes these plans work, especially in small island development states. We will further examine the actions at national and local level and the importance of working together to achieve lasting climate action for the future. And last but not least, we'll find out which recommendations can be drawn from a better planning, governance, and action point of view. So let me introduce my distinguished panel of this morning. Domingos Veia Mendes is president of the board of directors of the National Institute for Meteorology and Geophysics. Next to him, Carla Semedo, head of resource mobilization at the National Directorate of Planning of the Ministry of Finance. Next to her, we have Mr. Alexander Nevsky Rodriguez, who is the advisor of the Minister of Agriculture and Environment. And next to him, we find Maria Daluz, president of the National Institute of Public Health. Next to me, Ines Murao, technical coordinator of this amazing climate action program. I welcome you all on stage with me this morning. So, let me get started and handing quickly over to you. So over the last years, we have seen cascading crises related to climate, economic crisis, health crisis, everything accelerated with further loss of biodiversity, escalating conflicts all over the world. And it seems that climate change is like a risk multiplier in all corners of the world. Domingos Veia Mendes, you work at the National Institute of Meteorology and Geophysics. 2023 has been recorded as the hottest year. Maybe let's have a look at the latest meteorologic and climate facts about Cape Verde. Did the forecasts from the past materialize? Were they worse than what was expected, or maybe less words, maybe you can give us an overview of what types of climate-induced changes you see already this year, just to update us on the latest situation.
Thank you. Good morning. All. On va parler français. Bonjour. Merci. Sur la première question, géographiquement, l'archipel du Cap Verde est situé dans une vaste région au climat aride et semi-aride du continent africain, caractérisé par un climat tropical sec avec deux périodes distinctes. La période pluvieuse entre mi-juillet et octobre est la période sec du reste de l'année. Les temps et les climats du Cap-Vert sont conditionnés par l'anticyclone tropical des Açores, les faibles pressions équatoriales, les courants des Canaries et la dépression technique sur le continent africain pendant l'été. La température moyenne annuelle est d'environ 25 degrés Celsius dans les périodes les plus chaudes. De janvier à avril, la température est d'environ 20 degrés Celsius, période froide. Et d'août à octobre, les températures sont plus douces, au-dessus de 27 degrés, période plus chaude. 2023 a été enregistré comme l'année la plus chaude. Selon les dernières nouvelles de l'Organisation météorologique mondiale, les températures mondiales devraient atteindre de nouveaux records au cours des 5 prochaines années, alimentées par les émissions de gaz à effet de serre qui piègent la chaleur et par un phénomène naturel El Niño. Cap Verde a des caractéristiques climatiques de la situation géographique de l'archipel entre latitude 14 degrés et 18 degrés nord, des vagues de chaleur de longue durée enregistrées en septembre et octobre atteignant des températures quotidiennes plus élevées autour de 36-37 degrés, enregistrant des journées plus chaudes. La variabilité de la série annuelle des températures moyennes au Cap Verde, Mindelo, Praia et Sal, de 1990 à 2020, démontrait que la température moyenne augmentait en se déplaçant vers les sud de l'archipel, où les valeurs de température sont en général de 1 degré Celsius supérieures aux moyennes enregistrées dans les îles du Nord. 2023 est en passe de devenir l'année la plus chaude jamais enregistrée dans le monde. Comme dans plusieurs autres régions du globe, d'extrêmes et des records de température ont également été observés au Cap Verde en 2023. Les températures moyennes et maximales de septembre et octobre 2023 ont battu des records sur certaines îles du pays. Sur les îles du Sal, avec des records remontant à plus de 50 ans, le mois de septembre était le plus chaud des 54 dernières années. Lorsque nous observons la tendance historique des températures moyennes, maximales et minimales enregistrées pour les stations du Cap Verde, nous identifions des taux d'augmentation de la température variant entre 0,2 et 0,3 degrés Celsius pour décennie. Cela implique un réchauffement moyen d'environ 1,5 degrés Celsius au cours des 5 ans dernières années. En ce qui concerne les précipitations, les choses sont un peu plus complexes, soit en raison de la forte variabilité naturelle des précipitations au Cap Verde, soit en raison du défi que cette variable représente pour les modèles. Les projections pointent vers une réduction progressive des précipitations à long terme qui pourrait atteindre 30% dans les pires scénarios d'émissions de gaz à effet de serre. Oui, cela s'est concrétisé comme prévu ensuite la tendance. L'analyse du cycle des températures moyen annuel révèle qu'à partir d'années 90, il y a une tendance croissante des températures moyennes annuelles qui s'est maintenue ces dernières années, présentant des valeurs de moyens de plus 0,1 degré Celsius dans les îles du Nord et de l'Est, Mindelo et Sal, et de plus 0,4 degrés Celsius dans les îles du Sud, Santiago, au-dessous de la normale climatologique de 1981 et 2010. Cette tendance à l'hausse se voit dans la température maximale en termes de variation saisonnière, avec une plus grande évidence pendant les saisons chaudes, pendant les mois de juillet, août, septembre et octobre, et moins prononcée pendant les mois les plus froids, décembre, janvier et février. Comme chacun le sait, le Cap Vert n'est pas à l'abri du phénomène du changement climatique, bien au contraire, il est l'un des pays les plus vulnérables à ces événements, tant de par ses caractéristiques géomorphologiques que par sa situation géographique. Il existe plusieurs publications qui placent le Cap Vert en tête des classifications de risques, notamment les risques climatiques. Le IPCC, dans son récent rapport, souligne une augmentation significative du niveau moyen de la mer. En tant que pays archipélagique, il pourrait connaître de graves problèmes, étant donné que la majorité de la population vit dans ces zones côtières. Le Cap Verde est situé dans une région d'Atlantique sujet à la formation des tempêtes tropicales et ces dernières années, on a assisté à une augmentation significative de la formation de ces systèmes tropicaux qui se sont ensuite transformés en ouragans. Les événements extrêmes sont de plus en plus fréquents et intenses, notamment ceux qui se forment à proximité de l'archipel du Cap Vert. Des enregistrements récents montrent que de plus en plus de cyclones ont une trajectoire atypique, comme ce fut le cas de l'ouragan Fred en 2015, né d'une onde tropicale et devenu en quelques heures une dépression tropicale émergente du continent entre le 28 et 29 août du côté de la Guinée-Bissau et en 24 heures, il a évolué vers une catégorie d'ouragan avec le centre situé à 50 km de l'île de Boa-Vista, se déplace vers le nord-ouest, atteignant toutes les îles du vent avec des vents dépassant 100 km/h et de fortes averses causant d'importants dégâts matériels. La deuxième question, quel type de changement induit pour le climat constatez-vous déjà? Le Cap Vert souffre lourdement de ces conséquences et paie une facture excessivement élevée du changement climatique. Ces dernières années, nous avons assisté à une augmentation significative des événements extrêmes au Cap Vert, plus fréquents et plus intenses. Canicules fréquents et de plus longue durée en raison des températures plus élevées, ce qui entraîne la propagation d'un plus grand nombre de maladies, tempêtes de sable avec de graves problèmes de santé publique, ouragans, tempêtes tropicales deviennent de plus en plus probables et plus intenses et la plupart se forment uniquement sur les côtés africains, écosystèmes marins et côtiers perturbés, sécheresses extrêmes qui provoquent des migrations massives, augmentation des prix alimentaires. Le Cap Vert se caractérisait par un climat aride comme les autres pays du Sahel. Cependant, ces dernières années, le changement climatique a affecté le cycle climatique normal. Les récentes projections climatiques montrent que d'ici 2040, le Cap Vert sera confronté à une réduction de précipitations de température, la radicalité augmentera, les événements extrêmes seront plus fréquents et plus intenses et de nombreux autres paramètres subiront des changements. Mais ces projections futures sont Néanmoins, ce que nous vivons déjà aujourd'hui, nous ressentons actuellement de nombreux effets, à savoir des sécheresses fréquentes, des températures élevées. Quand il pleut abondamment, provoquant des inondations et des glissements de terrain. Les cyclones sont plus fréquents, avec des vents forts et provoquant des inondations côtières. Ce que j'ai préparé pour ça, merci.
So, thanks a lot, and we see that the audience understood French. That's good, otherwise I would translate it. But we see that Cape Verde is not exempt from climate change, and you have more frequent and more intense events with the regional difference in occurrence. Thanks for this update.
Thank you.
Mr. Alexander Nevsky, advisor to the Minister of Agriculture and Environment. So since your last intervention last year, what do you register maybe as the main advances in the implementation of NDC and the NAP, the National Adaptation Plan in Cape Verde? How is the progress going?
Okay. Thank you, Bas. And please permit me read my answer, because with this I will reduce the mistakes and maybe improve the pronunciation. So, first of all, I would like to thank Luxembourg for this partnership, which has already become customary during the COPs. This is important for us, and I would like to thank this opportunity to the responsible from the Benelux Pavilion to give Cabo Verde this opportunity to talk about the progress of and the fight against climate change and in adapting of its efforts. So last year in my communication, I already mentioned that Cabo Verde's main challenge in implementing NDC and NAPs are the weak institutional arrangements that could not efficiently respond to the coordination needs for the implementation of NAP and NDC, poor understanding of different reporting requirements and possible linkages, and the limited technical capacity of the country in matters related to inventories and the limited financial resources to strengthen the technical capacity of institution. This is the last year. So from then until now, many advances have taken place. Regarding to the institutional arrangements, institutional articulation was improved and training action were reinforced, which contribute to the improvement of efficiency and effectiveness in the implementation of policies and the measures related to climate change. This includes a greater capacity for coordination between the different sectors and institutions involved, allowing for a more integrated and comprehensive approach. In addition, there has been a significant increase in understanding of reporting requirements and possible interlinkages, thanks to a series of workshops and capacity buildings and seminars targeting key stakeholders. We will work quickly on improving the NDC implementation plan, as we believe it will be an essential tool to improve NDC implementation and monitoring. So in terms of technical capacity, Cabo Verde has made remarkable progress. With international support and collaboration with strategic partners such as Luxembourg, Portugal, the Lusophone Cluster from Transparency, and some multilateral banks, we have developed skills in the field of greenhouse gas inventories, climate impact assessment, resource mobilization, climate negotiation, and the planning of adaptation and mitigation measures. These efforts have been fundamental for strengthening the technical capacity of our technicians and our institutions. In terms of climate finance, although we have not yet finalized the resource mobilization strategy, we have also made considerable progress. I think I will left this from Carla, from the financial issue. I will jump to another sector that from climate governance. The program with Luxembourg has played a key role in this entire process of improving Cabo Verde's climate governance and has driven several structuring measures for national climate policy. Finally, I would like to inform you here firsthand that the government of Cabo Verde has already decided to create an interministerial committee for climate change chaired by the head of the government, the Prime Minister, and the National Secretariat for Climate Change under the responsibility of the Minister of Environment. These two frameworks will further ensure greater coordination and implementation of climate policy, including NDC and the NAP, and a cohesive transition to the ETF. In conclusion, despite the challenge that we face, Cabo Verde has demonstrated a firm commitment and significant progress in the implementation of its NDC and NAP with a view to achieving a sustainable and climate resilient development. This is our progress.
Thank you, Mr. Nevsky. I see a lot of progress has been made. Many sites, construction sites have been opened. You are really work in progress, hands-on. No one should say Cape Verde is not doing a lot on NDC and adaptation implementation. But now, you mentioned already some other departments have also responsibilities. And looking at various key sectors of Cape Verde, we will discover what has been done so far, mainly from that same angle on planning, governance, and action point of view. And I'm looking at Maria de Luz, President of the National Institute of Public Health. What about the impacts of the changing climate on public health? We have heard here at COP and already last COP, public health is very much impacted by a changing climate, different forms of pollution, temperature, air pollution. How is your sector prepared from a point of view, governance, action, and planning? Can you share some insights with us?
Of course. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation and the LuxDev and the Luxembourg to the invitation. As you say, climate change is a significant threat to the health of all over the world, but I think Cabo Verde, as a small state island in development, is one of the most affected related to the climate change. And health, as you know, always is impacted. So for me, it's very important to see that year by year, the health sector is at the center of the, even if the COP, but in Cape Verde, as you asked me, it's very important to see that we are working, we begin to start working together. We have some approach, for example, the One Health approach platform, and that the environment surveillance is one of the key points of this, the agenda of the One Health approach. So I think as the impact of the climate change in humans varied, as you know, related to the dehydration, for example, increase of the vector-borne disease. For example, you know, for this time we are now facing outbreak related to dengue. It's one of the disease transmitted by vector, and as the increase of the temperature, like Domingos say, you know, there are very impacting things that we must see, we know, but we must work together and must think together. So what are Cape Verde do? For now, we are committed to implement the plan, national plan of the adaptation of the health adaptation to the climate change. I think it's very important to the plan to guide us how and what can we do, and to see the implementation of the impact of the implementation of this plan in 5 years, for example. So I think one of the important tools that we have is this plan, behind the One Health approach. But we always work with the environment, because the environment for us it's very important. I remember when was it the first meeting of One Health approach, Dr. Alessandro as National Director of Environment, and I was National Director of Health, and we the National Public Health Institute President, Dr. Tomás, before me, he was president of National Public Health Institute. We see how we can work together. So I think when we see the health sector in generally and how to face climate change in Cabo Verde, we are leadership. The other pillar important is collaboration and cooperation. We are guidelines, like for example, the plans. I mentioned one plan, but we have other plans. For example, we have One Health approach plan that the environment surveillance is one of the pillars. So I think we are work together. There are other things we are doing now. For example, maybe Alexandre can help me. What Dilson and Dr. Julio are doing, it's levantamento. A survey related to the emissions of the health infrastructures of the gas efeito estufa. Como é que se chama? Greenhouse gas. So I think we are beginning to work together. I think the point is that work together and to cooperation to reduce the impact of the climate change in the health in our population. And I hope you understand my English.
Thanks a lot. Round of applause. And we see the collaboration already between different departments here on stage. So excellent. That gives me a lot of confidence. So Carla Semedo, you're head of Resource Mobilization, Ministry of Finance. We have heard that planning, governance, action are very critical for effective climate action. So your ministry plays definitely a central role in that to allocate the necessary resources for climate action. According to you, what are the main lessons learned regarding planning, governance, and action so far? What's your focus?
Thank you, Baz. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of the National Directorate for Planning of the Ministry of Finance and Business Development. Answering your question about the main lessons learned regarding planning, government, and action, I would like to say that the climate change, by its effects and impacts, has been seen in Cabo Verde as a urgent condition for ensuring the sustainable development of the country. This can be seen in terms of changing the way in which the country's public policy planning is being done. Speaking of the Minister of Finance and Business Development, currently this is a great awareness of the importance of institutionalizing climate governance into policies, plans, strategies at the decision-making stage, from the beginning of the planning and budgeting phase of public policies to its implementation, in order to achieve the country's commitment. There was a change between the previous patch, the country's strategic plan, the strategic plan for sustainable development, with the new version of patch, goes from 2022 to 2026. For the first time, we have a pillar all dedicated to climate. This shows a paradigm shift that will help Cabo Verde setting up clear goals, vision, and priorities. That has to be done. We have to strengthen the country climate resiliency, and for that goal we have a clear vision. We are aware that is crucial to combine forces by including all sectors, local authorities, municipalities, private sector, and very important, the civil society. We believe that the success of our national strategic plan depends on the implementation of this inclusive and transparent approach. Speaking of funding, I can say that Cabo Verde has been receiving public aid from our development partners, such as Luxembourg and other countries, loans and donations. We are finalizing the creation of the Climate Environment Fund with support of Portugal. We have signed with support of World Bank, and we have signed an agreement with Portugal of an initial value of 12 million euros. Alessandra has here notes, that important notes I will join here. This shows the cooperation of the yes. Only to say that this is missing here, but Cabo Verde Stock Exchange launched the green and blue bonds, the latter with strong support of the Luxembourg too. These bonds have been hugely successful, and demand has exceeded national expectation, proving to be an excellent internal source of finance for climate and environment investment projects. Thank you, Alexander. And we are aware that more funds needs to be raised for the implementation of our plans and policies, namely our NDC and our NAP. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it shows how a holistic and inclusive approach, very ambitious, can lead to results. So thank you for this insight. Now turning to Ines Mourão, you are heading this very innovative support program on climate action and climate governance. We have heard about civil society just before, and it's in the title of the event. Can you maybe tell us today why empowering the civil society in particular is seen as such an important step, and what can we expect from the implementation of the climate communication plan? We mentioned it in the introduction. Tell us a bit more.
Good morning. I was telling Bas that this is more or less has been in our first concert. So it's friend, family, friend, colleague, friend. So I feel that we are among friends. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for being able to be with you and for accompanying what has been this walk of this program. And to tell that, of course, I am the technical coordinator, but the vision of the program, I think, has to be, we have to give it to Alexandre. I think it was Alexandre that was behind this program. It was him that negotiated this program at Luxembourg. So we are only the hands that are executing the vision of the Ministry of Environment, the National Directorate of the Environment, that is our counterpart, and all our partners that we have here, since who gets the data, who tells us if we are, really hitting or not, who then goes for the finance, who protects us from the effects. So this is a program that belongs to everybody. And belonging to everybody, of course, he has to give voice to the civil society, because, again, I have a person that is really dear to me also that says that the paper can take everything. So we can put all our ideas in the most beautiful legislation, we can have all the plans in there, but then if people really don't see themselves in what we are proposing, it will not happen at all. And that's why this program has a big focus on communication, on really empowering empowering people since early ages until the elderly to really, really have a voice and to really, really speak about what matters to them in what regards climate change. And this is not a new thing. It's not, again, a really good idea from the program. It comes from our NDC, from our National Determined Contribution, and from the National Adaptation Plan. Especially on this one, we already had a communication program. Communication, it's not only communication, it's also capacity building, but we saw it as different because we have a very very massive program on capacity building, but it's more technical, it's more about institutional, it's putting the institutions with capacity then to implement and to be able to also give their contribute in terms of this institutional, within this institutional framework. And then we see the civil society and the common citizen as also a very important actor. And for that we have 10 main actions that start from kindergarten. So we started this year with, the scholar year started with what it's called the Civic Week. I don't know in other countries, I don't know how it is now in Portugal, but in Cabo Verde, every time we start a new year in school, a full week is dedicated to a theme. And this year, the theme was climate action. So since kindergarten until the 11th, 12th grade, everybody spoke about climate change in schools. And would you imagine how much the percentage of population in Cabo Verde that is in kindergartens and in schools? How much a number, a percentage? 20%? Who gives more? 30. Yes. Almost 30% of the population of Cabo Verde is in schools. And we are not counting the little ones, the ones that are from 4 to until 6 years old. And we have more than 88,000 professors. So if they take this message to their homes, it's more than 50% of the resident population. So that's why we are working closely also with the Directorate of Education, that it's not here, but has been a main partner also. And it's also why we now had our first parliament. We have our children's parliament, and I don't know if the press was, but we got some media coverage also, some. We had more than 70 children from all the islands coming to Praia to have the opportunity to speak with the Ministry of Energy, the Ministry of Agriculture and Environment, with the Ministry of Family, about what are their concerns. So the question was, how is climate change affecting the children's rights? How they feel, what do they feel about it, and what do they want to see from us? What do they want to see from the government? Because we are used to say that, you know, if we tell children what they have to do, they will solve the problem because they are the future. But no, it's us that has to solve them for them. They have rights, and they are at risk from climate change. And so they were saying the future is now, and it's now that we have to act. And I must tell you, and Itel, I don't know, Itel was present. It was one of the most wonderful experiences that I had in the last times, because they have so much energy, and if we really channel it in a good way, it's magic. So we have that. We are looking at the youngsters, but we are also looking at other technicians, more or less like us. So really soon we will be launching the climate portal. For the first time, Cabo Verde will be a portal in which all the documentation that is related to climate change and other will be. So I see people already nodding, and I know that we know that was also a gap that we had. So it will be important. Everybody is invited to produce contents for us to put on the portal. So the civil society is also invited to be there. We are launching a series that we called Hiroshima, that it's called Heroes Like You. So people, common people that do things that contribute to mitigating or to adapting. For instance, our first our first episode was for a person that uses bicycles to go everywhere, because Praia is such a small city that we can easily use bike. So we have those episodes, and we'll be having other things like cinema festival. We'll be having also a manifest that will be awareness campaign dedicated to the common citizens. So 10 initiatives. We'll be having a modern museum, Casa do Clima, the House of Climate in Sal. We are looking forward to having a place where people can go and really feel climate change and see what can also be done. So we have this plan. So I wanted to thank the opportunity to the Ministry of Environment in name of LuxDev and Luxembourg, because I feel that we are really doing meaningful things that have an impact, things that may change people's lives. For instance, Maria da Luz spoke a little bit about it, but I may compliment. We are also launching a study in which we are really seeing the direct effects of heat waves and extreme heat on health, and it's done by INMG, so the meteorology that is collecting the data, looking at the past, and then the colleagues from the Institute of Public Health will go and make the link between people going to hospitals, cardiac diseases, what's happening, because I feel that people are dying in Cabo Verde because of heat, but nobody knows because we don't have the data. So we will be also looking forward to integrating these components in the early warning systems. So I really feel that we are doing meaningful things, so I'm really happy. I am a really happy person to be able to work with all of you all days, with Leinira, Etel, all these beautiful people standing here. So yes, I only feel that the program will finish in 2025, and if we don't explain to people what is climate change, what can they do, how can they benefit, what can they ask from the government, it's only like that we'll be having empowerment and that we'll be having effective climate action. So that's why there is such a strong focus on that.
Wow, what an energy. And I think with the unlimited energy of children, you can do magic. And I see representatives from other countries here. If you need good examples, best practices, I think they can come to you and Cape Verde to get inspiration for the future. But Alexander Nevsky, your ministry is also the main partner in the climate cooperation. We've heard that a lot of work can be done by kids. But there is still some other work to be done, certainly. What do you wish to present after this project at COP30, so not next year, but in 2 years' time? What are the main areas of work within your ministry to enhance the work, the dynamics that have been ongoing on the different dimensions that we have now touched upon?
Okay, boss. Thank you. One of the great results that we intend to present at COP30 is a Cabo Verde with a robust climate structure in which its population, including decision makers, have competent climate literacy. This is a very important message that we'll pass in the next COP. We want to present a Cabo Verde in which climate action is already naturally part of national and sectorial strategy planning documents. The Ministry of Agriculture and Environment is focused on implementing, with the scope of governance, more inclusive and transparent decision-making process, and Portal do Clima is one of these vehicles to help us in this process, in accordance with the best international governance practices. This is reflected in our approach to sustainable development and the management of natural resources, aiming for a balance between economic growth and environmental protection. Finally, I would like to highlight our efforts to achieve a carbon-neutral economy by 2050. This involves, of course, the strengthening of areas of adaptation and resilience in the NDC, particularly in the water, agriculture, coastal zones, oceans, health, and disaster risk management sector. So this is what we want to present at COP30. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Nevsky. I think a lot of work still ahead, but you seem to be very structured and have a plan of milestones to achieve. Yeah. Turning to Maria Luz, what are the main areas of work within your ministry to enhance those areas that we have touched upon, also planning, governance, action, when we meet in 2 years' time? What will you present us?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. I think some of them, they were already referred by Ines and by Alessandro, but I think the key challenge is the financing. But before that, I think we need to develop projects to strengthen the resilience of the health system, and related to the funds to the face the climate change, like Green Fund, Climate Fund, and the others. I think this is the very important thing to do. And the other area important, Ines said, is scientific research. I think we must have data, and so now we are, as she says, we are looking for to do scientific research to see the impact of the disease with the National Institute of Geophysics. We need data too. So for us, it's very important to know the projection of the climate, for example, and to see how we must adapt the infrastructure and the health reply to the challenges related to the climate change. Other area, I think, is the preparation of the emergency. So I think one of the main challenges that we face is all over the world. I think it's the new agents, pathogen agents that come and do some emergency of health. So now we are preparing of it. We have a National Center of Emergency and Public Health. And when we speak emergency, we must think the other things that are not related to health directly, but they have their impact. For example, the disasters, the floods, and everything impacts not only the physical health, but the mental health too. I think we have a lot of the areas we are facing now. I think the world is a lot of areas that we are thinking to do something to improve our performance related to the climate change. The other areas that I think is to start the evaluation, the monitoring the things that we are doing, and to the new infrastructure of health to be more environment friendly. For example, we have many projects of the construction, the new hospitals, the new health centers. So and even if the International Public Health Institute is now waiting to have a new building headquarters, and I think the futures of the infrastructure related to health must be friendly of the environment. So we must work with the architecture and all of things related to implement this. But everything we do related to the social determinants and the other things, because everything impacts on health. So it's very important to work before. This is why the One Health approach, and every day, I said, Alessandro, yesterday, we must think always, not just on the One Health approach, but to see the transversality, I don't know if this term exists in English, of the health sector, because the education, even the little children, and the growth too, the education, the assainissement, I think it's in English or French, I don't know, the economy, there are many things that impact directly on the health. So we must work together, and so this is, in our plan we have some key areas that we must improve to face the impact of the climate change in health.
Thanks so much. I think you touched on one very important element on the financing of the whole thing.
And,
so
sorry. I'm sorry, you are the moderator, but just to thank you, Ines, because I think Ines is a very dynamic person that will improve the connection in health and the other sector. Our scientific research is funded with part of the LuxDev. So for us, it's very important to see that you see where is the way to go to have data and then to do policies based in evidence. I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Those messages are very important, and they are also very well taken, I think, from those who watch us and those in the room. So thanks for your behalf of the feedback. But turning back to the point on finance, Carla Semedo, can you give us examples, like what are the main challenges within your ministry, maybe regarding that financing challenge? Looking ahead, what do you wish to present at the next or the COP in 2 years' time?
Before to talk about the challenge finance, let me use the opportunity to also extend my gratitude and our appreciation of the program, climate action program that Ines is coordinating. This program in a few time has a lot of impact. So you have my deeply gratitude. In terms of the main challenge, I would like to point out a few aspects very quickly. We are working on tools that will help better monitoring and understanding of climate action at the budgeting level through climate marker tools, currently supported by the LuxDev. The challenge is also to take this approach to the local level and across all the sectors at the government level. Another challenge is to implement the new national investment system. This is a new approach to the investment projects to be held in the country, in which all projects right from the start have to fulfill a prior assessment of the impact on the climate and the environment. It's important also to increase the support in capacity building, technical capacity to mobilize international funds with a greater understanding of the existing and the new financial international instruments. This is important also, and it's, I have to say this, it's important also to improving the access to the concessional climate finance. In terms of planning and budgeting, the big challenge is to put the several plans and strategic documents into practice. This is so important, avoiding effort duplication through coordinated action. In the future, can I tell my ambition to the COP30? In the future, I would like to see Cabo Verde with a greater resilience in terms of climate change, especially through the energy transition, the development of the blue economy, digital economy, also the transformation of the agriculture and tourism industry, and a country with a diversified economy. My ambition is to see Cabo Verde has a leader of our region and has a leader of the seeds. I wish also at the international level the recognition of our special condition, of our special seed condition. This reduces the capacity to take action in face the climate change. And finally, for COP30, I wish a country free of extreme poverty. In fact, this is a goal of the government. The government sets this goal to until 2026. This is very important, and this country of free extreme poverty is important. A country that doesn't leave no one behind. And I think with joint efforts, with a strong national commitment and with the international support, these wishes and this ambition can be realized. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for so much vision and ambition, which is combined here. And I think also all your feedback will be forwarded to the Ministry of Environment, Climate and Biodiversity, who is supporting financially this program, and we will ensure also the bridges and links to other development cooperation programs to mainstream climate and environmental related dimensions into all the work that is ongoing and will be ongoing in the future. Let me turn to the floor. Maybe there are some questions that came up during the presentation. I come over to you with the microphone. Maybe introduce yourself briefly.
Thank you. Thank you very much for all the interventions. My name is Tom Dyer from Antea Group, and I was not so long ago also visiting Cape Verde for some small contributions to the program. I think you're also working on a BTR already, right? Or is it no, not yet? So I was wondering what the plan is and what's in the or where you are in the reporting. Maybe it's the fourth national communication that is being written now, or yeah. So if you could say something maybe about that process, please. Thank you.
Okay. Of course, we are finalizing our fourth national communication and our first biannual update report, and we did training from our BTR. We didn't begin yet to produce, to elaborate the BTR, but we are training people from the BTR. We are putting people in the roster of the climate change, of the UNFCCC to strong the knowledge about understanding the documentation, and have more experience to help the country with the BTR. We, of course, we want to present our BTR at the end of 2024. We don't know if it will be possible because we were a little late, but we have the project. We want to join the next national communication with a BTR in a global financing to have people more engaged for a long term, a long period in this process of national communication and from BTR. But in the next year, we'll begin to elaborate our BTR, and the people, the technicians have training, and they are prepared to begin this process. We know it's a very complex process, but we are preparing for this. Yeah. And of course, it's important to say that we have a big support from the Lusophone cluster. It's important because we can speak in the same language. They speak Portuguese, we speak Portuguese, and they can explain complex things in Portuguese. And they translate a lot of documents in Portuguese, so this helps us to improve our capacity in reporting. We have to report in English, but it's important to have this training in our language that we can understand. Okay, thank you.
I may just compliment, just saying that we had the pleasure to welcome a workshop from the CGE we had a workshop that was held in Cabo Verde with the Secretariat on reporting adaptation, because we know that adaptation is still a priority for Cabo Verde, but it's really difficult still to understand what we want to report, what we want to put in adaptation communication, how we will be doing that adaptation communication. So it was really important to have that workshop. Precisely with the partnership and with the Lusophone cluster, we are looking forward to having more actions, because we already had one session and we are working together to establish next year's round of capacity building actions. But also we are putting together what we called, and you can also maybe speak from your point of view, from who is behind, because with your support also we are putting together what we call the transparency framework. So we are already working on the data architecture that can then receive all the information, and we are already populating it in order then to be really easier to then report, to do the biannual transparency report. So yes, I think that this is an issue that will be a matter of time getting on all the finance, but the country is getting ready and readier to be able then to report having the BUR as a basis, but already looking at the BTR. Do you want to talk? Because you are engaged also. No, there is another one, but I think we have time.
Yeah, let's move to the next question, which was somewhere here in the center. You want to react to the answer? Yeah, please.
Yes, thank you. It's good to hear indeed that there's also been a workshop on the adaptation, because that's exactly the part I'm also looking into, and where we see there's still a lot of questions on how to report adaptation, and even how to monitor and measure adaptation. And it's something we will gladly discuss further on this, of course.
Thanks a lot. There was the question. Please.
Thank you. Gonçalo Cavalheiro from UNDP Climate Promise. It's really exciting to see all this excitement and ambition in Cape Verde, and things are really shaping up. So in terms of the BTR, just a little bit of publicity. UNDP is holding the Transparency Clinic. So for the next 3 days, if you have any questions, we're sitting there. You can book 1 hour or 2 hours if you want to. Just go online, you have the link, and we can discuss about BTRs. So there's 2 questions to Alexandre. One is a clarification. I didn't really understand what your first goal for COP30 is. So if you could just repeat your first goal for COP30, just because there's a lot of noise. And the second question is also related to transparency. You mentioned there's this new interministerial committee. Does it have responsibilities over transparency issues, like coordinating the BTR, or is it at a different level than if this facilitating the interaction among the different ministries and departments in the collection of data, in the setting up of the system, and then in the approval of the actual reports before they're sent to Bonn?
Yeah. Gonçalo, it will be easy if the question was in Portuguese. But I will try to respond to you. First one, about the ambition from the COP30. The idea is to have this robust climate governance put in place, and have the literacy from our population and from decision makers, a high literacy because I think it's the step away to implement a climate action and to implement adaptation measures at the country. About the structure, you have two. One, we have this interministerial committee. Is a political committee. And this political committee, of course, will give the political orientation for all the measures that will take place. But we have the Secretariat, the National Secretariat from Climate Change. This is the operational one who will be in charge from this issue about training, about inventory, about that, all that, this other. The interministerial is to make that every minister is in this committee, and the policy began from every ministry to implement the climate action and governance in Cabo Verde. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, a compliment here by Ines.
Just to complement a bit on also the engagement of the civil society in this institutional setting, because we are aiming at also looking at the Luxembourg example to have civil society forum, so a forum for climate and citizens. So it is one thing that we are just looking forward to having this setting approved so that we can then start working in this civil society forum that will be then represented in all the islands, and that we want also to have a strong focus on youth, because I told you about children, I told you about adults, but I didn't told you about youth. And if we add the youth to the children, we have for certain more than 60% of the Cape Verdean population. So that's why also we are also looking at it from these institutional bits. And the way I see it, I don't know if it will fly or not, is having this secretariat supported by technical working groups. One of it is precisely transparency. So there are, we have identified 8 functions that this governance system has to reply to. One is coordination and decision, another one is communication and early and alert, another one is financing, and then we have health as in the implementation side. But we also have one on diplomacy, and we have one that is precisely on transparency, because we know how important it is. And it's not only to report internationally, but for instance, one of the good things is that also at national level, now we have annual state of the environment reports that have to be produced. So this system, this transparency system, and this working group will also be feeding to that state of the environment report, along with the PEDs that Carla also mentioned. So this thing about having our strategic plan also with a pillar, so all these will be then feeding at the higher level, but in the institutional arrangements we would thinking of having working groups that then would reply to those functions.
We still have time for 1 or 2 more questions before we wrap up, please.
Thank you very much. Not really a question, it's more a comment. I would like to take the opportunity to also follow the colleagues of our team, the team that made us all very proud, thank you. But we wanted to take the opportunity to thank Luxembourg for organizing this event, but also Luxembourg team in Cabo Verde for being always a partner in which we can trust, and that helps us to put all this together. For a small team as Cabo Verde, even attending a COP is a challenge. And then being here with such a small group and trying to select those events who are really important for us. And of course, being on the negotiation meetings too, because that's the main purpose. It's not always easy. But it's nice to know that we have this very good partner, Luxembourg, and so many others. Alexandre mentioned the Lusophone group, from which, of course, we always have good support too. So thank you, everyone, and congratulations, team.
Thank you. I think the small country challenge we share, and that's also why we could not mobilize a representative from our government, because they are also in the negotiations around the small country challenge is also for Luxembourg. A last question or comment? One over here.
Hi. Let me present first. My name is Ariana, known by Nani Vaz. I'm a journalist from National Radio and Television of Cape Verde. I would like to congratulate your presentation here, all the speakers. It's important to work to join this force to move the ambition of Cape Verde, but it's not possible without include media and journalists. I think if you want to concrete this subject, we need to include the journalists. We are here in COP exactly because we are candidate in an international request. So if Cape Verde and the coordination of action climate in Cape Verde didn't do nothing to include journalists and media in this project, I think that you can conclude your objective, but it's more easy when we include media because we have access to the community and to make the things happen. It's just is my point.
Thanks so much. I hope the panel gave you enough food for thoughts and input for to report on. Who wanted to?
Yeah, just to complement, of course, Inez, who had more fluency in English, she can complement then again. But we did training from journalists. For example, we did 2 years ago, we did a big training from journalists, and we put journalists in our team as a delegate to come here to see the experience about the COP and try to transmit this experience to other colleagues. Of course, it's impossible to at the same time have all the journalists in the training, but we are every year we have this training from journalists about the challenge from Cabo Verde, but about what Cabo Verde is doing to improve the climate governance. And the idea is to include journalists in the team. Of course, we have delegates from negotiations. It's a government issue, but we have space for journalists too. And the idea is join this, and this time we try, it's not try because it's past, it's true. We tried, okay? We tried to have this approach with the journalists, but the time frame was very short to arrange the participation of journalists. But the idea is this: we know everyone must be included in this framework, and the ideas include everyone. And Portal do Clima, it's an innovative space for this interaction, for this communication with civil society, with industry, with the journalists, and with all the other partnership in this issue. Of course, journalists is very, very, very important. The idea to training the journalists is to help journalists to show everyone what we are doing, but make the journalists to have better skills in communicate about climate change. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Alexander Nevsky. Ines?
Indeed, I understand the comment because we have not been successful in engaging the media. Yeah. We've tried these 2 years.
Yes.
We had one of, I think, the best speaking Portuguese-speaking journalists that follows the COP, Ricardo Garcia. He's a person that worked in some of the main newspapers in Portugal. He's now based in London, but he worked for Expresso, he worked for Público, and last year he gave a training for media, and we only had 5 participants. This year we had a training for media, 1 expert from the seats. We only had 1 person, and it's our problem, not yours. I'm just saying that we are investing a lot of resources, and then in the end we are not reaching our goal. So maybe we can then further discuss, and because this is one of the lines that we had in our plan of activities for next year, because we fully understand that without engaging, you are one of the main agents of, translating the technical things that we say to a language that the people can understand. Radio is, you know, I listen to you in the morning every day in RTC, because radio is one of the most effective ways yet of convening the messages in Cabo Verde. Of course, television also. Internet, it's, let's say, it's only to a smaller part of the population, but without engaging, for instance, radio, we will not be effective in delivering the communication plan. So that's why we are also planning to have a more constant training next year for media. So maybe we can then discuss what you think would be the best model and to get your inputs, because it's for sure one of our priorities for next year in terms of training.
Thanks, Ines. Let me wrap up at this point on time. Let me thank my distinguished panelists for their insights on how an empowered civil society forms the basis for successful climate action, leaving us also here with a lot of ambition and vision to move forward and to report in the future on the progress. And thank you to the audience for your very good questions. And have a good end of the COP and good last mile. Thank you and goodbye.